Good morning, everybody, and welcome to day 23 of the Daily Language Diary. And I'm really excited about today because my objectives are very, very simple. Primarily, when it comes to language learning, I just want to read. I just want to have an absolutely fantastic reading session with my novel because if I'm being honest, although there's been a lot of days where I wanted to read, and I did pick up my novel, most of the time I read like half a page or maybe one page. There was one or two times when I had a really good session, but I think on the whole, I've definitely not been making as much time as I would like. Even with reading in bed, right? There was just that one day where I managed to do that. So usually for me, if I find myself consistently not making time for something that is important to me, then I try to just have a day where I make that the primary objective. And so today, that's one of my main things I want to do. And the other one is my French podcast, Les Chemins d'Écrivain. I love it so much, and I expressed how much I was enjoying it with you in the first week of this series. But I've kind of fallen off and I haven't really been making time to listen to it. So I think I just want to focus on that for my language learning today. I'm on a walk right now, so why not listen to an episode of the podcast and just enjoy it. Oh my God, I still just feel so lucky that this podcast exists. It is just that enjoyable. And I feel the same way about the book. I mean, what a beautiful way to experience life, just having all these wonderful things that you just love to do so much, and you just feel grateful that somebody made this beautiful podcast or somebody wrote this wonderful book. And I just feel so fortunate that I get to spend time doing these things. So thank you all for giving me a place to do that and for giving me a beautiful outlet for all these things. So why don't we take an extra long walk today, and I'm going to listen to at least one, but maybe even two episodes of this beautiful French podcast.
J'ai eu la chance immense d'avoir un arrière-grand-père qui est tombé fou amoureux de ce coin alors qu'il était lyonnais. Oui, j'étais né à Paris, mais comme beaucoup de petits Parisiens, ce qui comptait, c'était les 2 mois de vacances. Donc, tous les premières amours, c'était là. Les rêves d'écriture, c'était là. J'ai une dette infinie envers la Bretagne.
Oh my gosh, that was so nice. Oh, I'm smiling ear to ear. Wow, I enjoyed that so much, and it just brought back so many memories. You see, if I go to my bookshelf here, let's see, where is it? This book, La grammaire est une chanson douce, which I'm sure many of you might be familiar with. This was the second book I ever read in French after Le Petit Prince. And so I remember struggling through this one. And I also remember that it did feel like a definite step up, right? So after going through The Little Prince 3 times, as I described in a recent episode, I kind of did the same thing with this book. And it was a really cool feeling of progression. And so I remember when I discovered this podcast and when I saw that there was an episode with Eric Orsena, I was very excited, and I really vividly just remember taking these long walks and listening to this episode and just being transported to these wonderful, mysterious landscapes in Bretagne. And I definitely have this deep love and I would say yearning for mountains and rugged coastal areas. Like, I just always have found them to be very magical. And so I've just always loved listening to these things. And I think France has a lot of really incredible places that fall into this category. And so I particularly just love listening to episodes like this one where he's talking about his deep adoration. And I think he even describes it as a debt to Bretagne, right? And there's episodes that take place in Normandy. And I mean, it was amazing to be transported back there all over again. And wow, what magic. Just magic. So honestly, this evening, I would like to just lay on my sofa, put the headphones on and just listen to it again and really, truly just let myself go and just imagine being there. But yeah, really, really wonderful. I'm so glad I did that. And I had a 1-hour walk, so that was good too. So now I would like to do my drawing studies for the day. I want to have a really, really solid session because yesterday it was okay, but I did get a bit distracted and I didn't quite get through as much as I wanted. So I'm going to really just turn off all my notifications and just sit there and have a wonderful coffee and drawing session. And then I'm going to make time for reading. Isn't this so beautiful? I love that about these days where I just give myself 1 or 2, maybe 3 really simple objectives and just allow myself to enjoy that simplicity. It's nice to just give yourself permission and be like, hey, if I just do these 2 or 3 things today, it's already a huge success. And I'll probably do more. I'll probably do a workout or a yoga session. I'll probably cook a healthy meal, but all that's just extra, right? I'm just focusing on these 2 or 3 simple objectives. Oh, what a day. Hey everybody, I'm sorry to just interrupt the episode so suddenly, but late this afternoon, in the middle of my drawing session, something completely unexpected, totally crazy, and just beautiful happened. If you have been watching my channel for a long time, you probably know the names Maya and Uchi. These are my 2 best friends from Japan, and I have talked about them hundreds of times on this channel. I've made documentaries with them in there. In fact, I actually made a very special part 2 of my Japan story, and I talked about, I think in that one, how I've lost touch with these people. They were my best friends I've ever had in my whole life. I've never in my life had friends as good and as loving and caring and as reliable as them. They were just the best, honestly. And that time in my life, living with Maya, spending every single day with those 2, and many of their friends, it's truly, honestly, the happiest time so far in my life. And it's so sad that we lost touch over the years. A combination of living on different sides of the planet. They don't really have international friends. You know, these are people who live very locally, don't speak any English, and just live their normal lives, you know. And especially back at that time, I feel like it was a long time ago when I was in Japan. I don't really think most Japanese people were on Instagram and those kind of things. It was mostly just Line. And because I was moving around a lot and changing phone numbers, I lost access to my Line account at some point because of all the weird security stuff and not being able to get help to get back in. And so we lost touch for years. And in that documentary that I did, the part 2 of my Japan story, I spoke Japanese at the end of the video for the first time in many years. And somebody in the comments said something so beautiful. because I talked about how I had lost touch with these friends and how much I love them in many different videos. And somebody said that when I spoke Japanese in that video, that I still had a little bit of a Fukuoka accent, or there's something in the way that I speak that reminded that person of Fukuoka. And they said that it's almost like, even though I lost touch with those friends, it's like they're still living inside of me through my Japanese. And I just thought that was so beautiful. I just told you that context just to quickly establish how special these people are to me and how we lost touch for many years. And this afternoon, Uchi was visiting Maya, and Maya connected with me on Instagram, and we reconnected. We're back in contact, and I just spent 4 hours talking to Maya on Instagram, just typing. And it was hard. My brain had to work so incredibly hard because, again, I have not been speaking Japanese for so many years now. My Japanese is rusty, and it's really difficult when you're trying to have this incredibly deep conversation and you're trying to express the deepest feelings in your heart, and you just want to be able to talk and communicate and share. And I think especially Japanese for an English speaker, it's really challenging if you're not, if you're rusty, because I feel like even with languages like Mandarin, for example, it's still very difficult, but the general sentence structure, like the general grammatical patterns are similar to English. But with Japanese, it's like you have to completely rewire, like how you express feelings and ideas, like how you structure those sentences. I guess I'm just trying to say this was a particular challenge because I really just have not expressed thoughts and ideas so deeply within those structures, right, within that framework in so long. But it was also really beautiful. And this takes me back again to that topic about fluency, right? Because my conversation this evening with Maya was not pretty. I was trying to explain certain things and she had to keep saying, like, I don't really understand this part. And then I would try again. And we got through it, right? But the point is, like, it was a bit messy. I had to really try hard to just find a way to express things. But it was so beautiful. And it might have even been more beautiful because of that. And it really reminded me of when I first met Maya in Japan. And we wanted to talk about deep topics so badly, right? We were having such a great conversation, but I didn't really have the Japanese ability to express certain things clearly because I had never tried to talk about my deepest philosophies in life and all these things before. And so it was a very messy process, but it was a process of patience and collaboration. And I just love how when you have this deep, deep desire, this need, right? Like the language doesn't even matter really. You just want to be able to communicate things that are so deep and important and special. And so I love that. It really doesn't matter how messy it is or how pretty it is, right? You can still have the most beautiful human interaction and experience that can just touch you to the deepest part of your heart and your soul. And in this case, like, these are people I have not seen for 12 and a half years. And as we were talking, I was finding all these old videos of the simplest little moments. Like I found a video of me and Uchi shopping for a birthday cake for Maya. And we were trying to find a replacement plate because Uchi broke her plate. was so funny. I found videos of me and Maya just going to the grocery store just to buy groceries for dinner. That was all. Like, I found videos of them introducing me to other friends who later became wonderful friends. I mean, these are things I haven't seen in a decade. To finally get back in touch with these people is so special, and it makes me feel old. Like, when I realized that we haven't met in 12 and a half years, like, that is crazy to me. But, you know, I'll be honest, after that talk, in the immediate aftermath, I went from feeling this incredible joy and happiness to actually feeling a bit sad, because it was almost just painfully nostalgic, you know, and it was hard not to think about how unfortunate it is that I wasn't able to stay in Fukuoka, or maybe that I didn't try harder to stay there or to go back, or at least to stay in contact, right? Like, it was hard not to feel a little bit sad, right? Our lives have moved on so much since then. But now that I've had a little bit of time to reflect and just to settle down, I just feel grateful. I just feel grateful. And, you know, hopefully life is long. We never know. Hopefully there's still plenty of time for another chapter and many more chapters of that friendship with them. And maybe this will make that story even more beautiful than it could have ever been, you know? And I guess my closing thought is that I'm so happy this is happening right now during this daily diary, because it feels very just within the theme of everything happening right now. So with that, I have to confess, I did not read this evening, but you know what? I think it's okay. I think this was just the most raw human thing I could have shared with you today, because that conversation was just everything, right? It was beauty and happiness and joy, but it was also like a bit of pain and all kinds of different nostalgia and even a bit of regret. But ultimately, like I said, what a beautiful expression of what can happen when we learn languages and we learn about other people. I just love thinking about how that conversation this evening and all of those beautiful experiences I had in Japan with Maya and Uchi and all of their friends, learning another language can unlock things like that, right? And it's just so cool to think like, wow, some of the most magical experiences I've had in my whole life, they happened because of this language. Isn't that just so cool? I feel like it's just one of the most beautiful things about learning another language. All right, sorry this was long and rambly, but this was my diary for today. And I'll see you tomorrow for day 24. まやちゃん、今夜どうする？
今夜は何？
ご飯とか、ご飯と何？
ご飯どっか。
あ、友達の贈り物を買うために天神に行かない？
ああ、友達のプレゼント買うために天神に行きます。
そうか。そうか。どれがいいのかな？どれがいい？ね。どれがいいと思う？ベリー好きかな、まいちゃんは。でもバナナもいいかな。クリームチーズ。まいちゃん甘いもの大好きなんだね。バナナとか好きかな。好きかな。なんだこれ。すごい山。
何博物館？
国立博物館。
それは何？
京都国立博物館。
ああ、そう。
でも私たちはあれに行く。
あ、そう。
十三間堂テンプルに行く。
あ、そう、何30何
寺じゃないけど。
三元堂テンプル。
あ、でもテンプルって書いてあるね。
書いてある。
あ、テンプル書いてるけど。
ある千手観音みたいな。
あ、そう。
めっちゃ手が。
じゃあテンプルじゃないけど英語でテンプル書いてある。本当だよ。